We're closed.
You don't look the sort who can afford to turn down legitimate work.
Bioshock Infinite's second set of DLC has finally arrived. Burial at Sea Part 1 blends the world of Bioshock's Rapture with the story and gameplay mechanics of Infinite to create a short-lived but mouth-watering adventure.
You gotta name this?
Elizabeth.
As is typical with Bioshock games, you're here mostly for the mind-bending story, and Burial at Sea delivers, at least thus far.
You can call me Elizabeth.
What can I do for you?
There's a girl who needs to be found. Maybe you've seen her.
While Part 1 is short-lived, it's dense with character development of both Booker, who behaves similarly to his Columbia counterpart, and Elizabeth, who is much more reserved, calculated, and dark this time around. Without giving anything away, let me just say that Burial at Sea has tons of parallels with Bioshock Infinite's plot. The plot in and of itself mirrors that of Infinite, which has to do with the constants and variable theme.
Dance with me. I shudder to think what greater price he might care to extract.
Fitzpatrick! Beauty and pain.
Likewise, Elizabeth seems to be aware of the events that unfolded in Columbia, whereas Booker does not. While we, the player, knows what has happened in Columbia between Booker, Comstock, and Elizabeth, the dynamic tension between these alternate versions of Booker and Elizabeth creates one of the most brain-bending stories in gaming history. Variable. On the gameplay aspect, it's very much like Bioshock Infinite. The only real stipulation of this is that Booker can carry far less ammo than before. This leads to much more melee combat and a heavier reliance on vigors or stealth gameplay. Other than a new weapon and vigor to mess around with, Burial at Sea plays virtually identical to Infinite. Constant. To sum Burial at Sea up, it's a very short but incredibly dense package of DLC. My biggest problem with it is that I have to wait and see how the plot is resolved in Part 2. I'm glad I got to spend more time with the characters I grew to love in Infinite, though in a very different way. This is perhaps one of the finest installments of DLC since Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam. Though, for the price tag of $15, you're better off buying a season pass, getting access to both Parts 1 and 2 when released, as well as Clash in the Clouds. Bioshock Infinite's Burial at Sea is an excellent addition to the Bioshock series, and I can't wait to play Part 2.
How do you know this?
She was taken, down at Surprise. You were playing the tables and...
She disappeared.
And?
Cop friend of mine, Sullivan, says they found her floating in the docks.
You see the body?
Look.
Did you see the body? This world values children, not childhood. There's a profit to be made and men who make it. I'm taking you to one of them. Mr. DeWitt, you all right?
I'm fine. Just get these spells sometimes. It'll pass.